So this weekend, the Oklahoma Sooners went on the road to Jordan-Hare Stadium for not only their first road game, but what would be their first road win of the year. And today, we need to talk about it because this was one of the strangest games you would have watched all weekend, and we need to break it down. But before we can, as always, y'all know the drill. I have got to hear from you. Hop down to the comments. Y for yes, N for no. Were you surprised with how Oklahoma won that game? And let me know what you're thinking. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe. Hit that bell notification as I do constant college football content. You don't want to miss any of it. And if you enjoyed the content, be sure to like and comment down below. But having said all that, let's jump right into this. And where to begin? This was one of those games where if you didn't watch it and at the end of the game you just were going through the ESPN app and wondering who won that matchup. Oklahoma goes on the road for the first time, quarterback change, playing Auburn. Auburn really needs the win. Oklahoma without their top 5 wide receivers, without some really key defensive backs as well. Man, that was going to be an interesting game. Who won it? If you were to click on the game and just look at the stats before you ever got to the score, you would be excused for thinking that Auburn had came away with the victory. In fact, if you look, Auburn won time of possession, they won the yards game, but yet they lost the game. When you look at this, Auburn had 35 minutes of control to Oklahoma's 24, which really highlights something we talked about 2 weeks ago on the stream, maybe 3 weeks ago now. That time of possession, while not a useless stat by any stretch of the imagination, the bigger question I have whenever we talk about time of possession, are you scoring? Are you converting that control time to points? Because control for the sake of control, that might not mean a whole lot. Not in 2024, where teams can score real quick. I mean, you look at Oklahoma, the first touchdown they had with Michael Hawkins, that drive didn't last long, but it resulted in points, key points. That's where we are in college football. Teams can score at the drop of a dime. So time of possession, I still contend it is a stat that means something, but it must be accompanied by points. And for Auburn, that's just not what happened. Not at the rate you would like. But they also, like I said, they won the yards battle. They had 482 yards to Oklahoma's 290 plus. They won the first down battle. Most metrics that you would look at and say, these are key metrics, Auburn won, yet they lost the game. So today we need to talk about it and we need to break this down. Where did Auburn go wrong? Well, first and foremost, Peyton Thorne threw an interception that resulted in a pick 6 late in this game that really was the difference. And on top of that, Oklahoma always kept fighting. And that's something I just talked about in the Georgia-Alabama video. There were moments in that game where some other teams would have sat down. You're on the road, your offense, while it's starting to get some semblance of continuity, that's only in terms of the quarterback change and Luttrell trying to figure out now how to scheme for Hawkins. You still are without so many wide receivers. You've had several offensive linemen go down. There's a lot still shuffling for this Oklahoma offense. That's still a question mark for me. But there is no question that Hawkins does give them juice. Like, he absolutely is giving them a level of juice that they need. They absolutely need. I'm interested to see how the offensive game plan continues unfolding around him. You're going to have to continue asking him to do more. But he's a capable young man. He's a very talented young man. And at this point, the juice he gives the offense, go ahead and ask more of him. That's where you are. Very excited to see how he continues to grow this season because he's an electric football player. And it's going to be a lot of fun watching him play. But Oklahoma's offense never quit fighting. Oklahoma's defense never quit fighting, even though Auburn had far more success than many people, including myself, anticipated against this Oklahoma defense. I did not think that Auburn would be able to generate 482 yards of offense against this Venables defense. But this also highlights something we've been talking about, that you can have a great defense, you have got to start having the offense carry some of the water, because if we go back and think to that Clemson-Georgia game, that Clemson defense did everything they could in the first half, and then the dam broke, and it couldn't be stopped. I've been impressed with Oklahoma's defense this year, especially in that Tennessee game where you didn't have offense. Then you did whenever the quarterback switch happened, but your defense carried the weight for you in that game at a level that was incredibly surprising. So I was very surprised to see Auburn generate this much offense, but then you had Peyton Thorne throw an interception in a critical moment. And there are a lot of people that at the end of the day are like, that's 1,000% on Peyton Thorne, and you're not wrong. The linebacker dropped into coverage. You had a pass rusher running right at Peyton Thorne. He didn't have time. He had two options. Either A, don't throw that ball and attempt to just throw it away near a wide receiver where you could argue that it's not intentional grounding, or try and put a move on the pass rusher and escape. And I'm going to be honest, I don't think that would have happened considering how close the pass rusher was when he was already in his motion. I think that play was either a sack or you try and throw it away without getting an intentional grounding. But he threw a pick six. My biggest question for the coaching staff, though, is this isn't a new issue for Peyton Thorne. Hell, if I'm not mistaken, Auburn brought someone out the stands one game and said, here, kid, you get a turnover. It has been incredible to watch the consistency at which Auburn turns the ball over. And so once again, without fail, right on time, Auburn turns the ball over. Giving Oklahoma a pick six, getting a 2-point conversion, and that really shifted momentum. Yes, that is on Thorne, but that is also unequivocally on a coaching staff that has seen your quarterbacks continue to struggle, to continue to throw interceptions, and with the lead late in the game, you're asking your quarterback to continue throwing. And if I'm not mistaken, that was a 3-man rush from Oklahoma. Just run the ball. Your running back is averaging, what was it, over 5 a pop? 4.7 a pop? Just run the ball. Especially if it's a 3-man front, just run it. Your defense is playing well. Oklahoma is still kind of rolling out their offense. They'd been having a little bit of success not long before. They'd just gotten a touchdown, but at the end of the day, your defense has played well. Well enough that you feel good. This Oklahoma defense is incredibly opportunistic. And that's the other part of this equation, is you have to understand who the opponent is. Personally, I thought Auburn would turn the ball over much more than they did in this game, because Oklahoma's been one of those defenses where they've been taking the ball away at a very consistent rate, and nobody's given the ball away at a more consistent rate than Auburn. I don't actually know the stats on that. That's conjecture. I don't actually have the numbers on that. But you get my point. I mean, they're certainly up there. So I actually thought Oklahoma would benefit from more turnovers. And whenever we did the Bleacher Report analysis, that was my reason for picking Oklahoma. You have an opportunistic defense that has been good at getting takeaways, and you have an Auburn offense that's been real good at giving the ball away. And at the end of the game, that was the difference. But as a coaching staff, those are the things you have to know. We're playing a defense that takes the ball away. They're in a 3-man front. We are now in a stage in college football where you can talk to your quarterback. Run the ball. Defense is playing well. Oklahoma has 11 first downs. Oklahoma is putting together a drive. Like I said, in fairness to Oklahoma, they had put together a drive before that. But if I'm Auburn, I'm feeling well enough about my defense in this game to say, okay, we can get a critical stop. Instead, you turn the ball over, pick six, Oklahoma takes the lead. Oklahoma then gets a field goal after that to seal the deal. Big win for Oklahoma. Why is it a big win for Oklahoma? I understand Auburn has not been good. Auburn probably played the best football they've played all year this past weekend against Oklahoma, which is wild because it's by far and about the best defense they've played. But that's the best we've seen of Auburn. I'll give you that, no doubt about it. The reason it's a big win for Oklahoma is because you just made a quarterback change. I'm still not convinced about your offensive coordinator, but listen, in fairness to Seth Luttrell, I can't pass judgment whenever your top 5 wide receivers are out, multiple offensive linemen have gone down. You just did a quarterback switch. He has a game and a half under his belt. You're still in the rollout phase. Like, you were already in the rollout phase because you're a new offensive coordinator, and now you're back to step 1. And when I say step 1, I don't mean step 1 of fall, like the kickoff of the season. I mean step 1 of fall camp. New quarterback, piecing together your offense, who are going to be the guys. That's where Oklahoma is. So that's why this is a big win. Because it was your first game on the road, your second SEC opponent. Your first SEC opponent was a real tough test in Tennessee. Let's be honest, Tennessee's a hell of a team. But you went on the road against Auburn in an environment where Jordan Hare for Alabama and Georgia, it's like playing the 85 Bears. For everybody else, it's the Mickey Mouse clubhouse of the SEC. Don't ask me why. I don't make the rules. I just call it as I see it. But for Oklahoma, you have so much injury, so much chaos, and you came away with a win. And the way you came away with the win, where you kept fighting, even though Auburn was winning, you kept it within striking distance, and then you capitalized. It's a solid win. And I'm really excited to see what that does for Oklahoma going forward, how quickly they're able to get people healthy, because that is the key. As good of a win as this was because of the injuries, like I said, Auburn is not a good football team this year. Now, they played their best football in this game, but I picked Oklahoma to beat Auburn even when I saw the injury report for Oklahoma. There's a reason why. It's because I have that little faith in Auburn. Even knowing their top 5 wide receivers were out, even knowing they had some key defenders out, some offensive linemen out, I said, OU. Auburn's been awful. But it was a road test. And it is a big win for Oklahoma because of all of those injuries, because of how much new there is. Maybe this is a game where you can start piecing together some positive momentum. Take that forward. It's going to be fascinating to see, but I can't wait to hear from all of you. What did you think about this game? If you're an Oklahoma fan, you got to love it because you fought, you kept it within striking distance, you got a big turnover that won you the game. If you're an Auburn fan, you play Georgia next weekend. And I saw a great meme this morning that said the last time Georgia lost in a heartbreaker to Alabama, they destroyed the football program they played, being Florida State. Now it's Auburn. Good luck, Auburn fans. You're going to get a pissed off Georgia, and I can't wait to watch it. Hop down to the comments. Let me know what you're thinking. That's it. See ya.